What's up, Illuminators? It's Charlie and Amethyst back. We're now a week and a half away from Whispers in the Well, so it felt like a perfect time to take a look at some of the legendaries and super rare cards from this set and put them into our tier list. So we rate everything on a scale of S to C tier. So S tier are the cards that we think are going to be the big meta impactful cards. That's the Dumbo 9th Wonder of the World, the card that's kind of going to warp every other deck around it. We have the A tier, which are going to be the good cards, but maybe not super impactful for the meta. So cards we think have potential, but maybe aren't going to be seeing immediate kind of the same response that a card like Dumbo would. B tier is the good cards, but the ones that are likely to serve a very specific deck. So if a card would only really help one deck, then it kind of falls into the B tier. And then C tier, the not particularly playable cards are the ones that are a lot more niche, or the ones that are the most fun to play in theme decks, is the other way I like to think about it. So, okay, we've talked a lot. Let's start with the cards, and we're going to start with Amber as always. And starting off with the legendary. So we have Rapunzel, ready for adventure. She's a 2-cost thinkable 1/2 questing for 1. She has support and the ability Act of Kindness whenever one of your characters is chosen for support until the start of your next turn. The next time they would be dealt damage, they take no damage instead. So we've been seeing a lot of support cards in the game since it first came out. I think maybe now and again, one or two will see play. Right now in the metagame, we have Basil, the Great Master Detective, who's the 1-cost with support, who does see play because he fits a very specific purpose. Do I think Rapunzel is kind of that kind of card? I'm not so sure. Like, I like in principle the idea that you're giving a character support often because you want them to challenge and then they don't take damage from the challenge. But I just think it really relies on having good support for support, funnily enough.
No, I get that. I think what is interesting is, of course, he applies for her as well, right? If someone gives the support to herself, that works. As soon as she's played, you can already take that ability, right? The power of ability. So there are some benefits. And we did see, funny enough, playing the latest single-player decks for Whispers in the Well, a lot of new support cards that might have some relevance, including the Princess from the Black Cauldron, right?
Yeah.
All that said, I would probably think that she's an A. I do think she'll fall under the A category.
For me, I think she's like low B tier.
Really?
I think to get value from her, you need to set up a bunch of characters on the board already. They need to be support characters, or you need to have a way to give them support. And then, okay, you play her, and now they don't take damage from challenges. Or they don't take damage, I should say. What are you using that in? Are you using it in an aggro deck to protect your characters? Then probably you're not running support, because support characters generally have worse stats. Are you playing it in a mid-range deck where you want to be able to challenge? Then I think she's in the wrong color for that. So that's why I struggle with her. I mean, yeah.
I'll trust you. Go for your judgment.
The low B, and she's lucky she's not in C.
Oh my god.
So next card for us is the Black Cauldron. This is a 3-cost unequal item. Has 2 abilities. The first one is the Cauldron Calls. Exert, pay 1, puts a character card from your discard under this item face up. And Rise and Join Me. Exert, pay 1. This turn you may play characters from under this item.
So pretty much you can be stacking up character cards under this item, right? I guess, as long as you want, and then start using when you want.
Yeah.
Right?
So you play this on turn 3, and then turn 4 you exert, you pay the 1, you put a card under it. Turn 5 you do the same thing, and then maybe by like turn 6 or 7, once you've got 3 or 4 characters under there, you then use the second ability, exert, pay the 1, and then start playing them out of there.
And it's important, again, I think, just highlighting the main key words here, right? When we say you may play characters from under this item, you still have to play the cost of the character. So is it addition to exerting and paying the cost for the item, you also have to pay the cost for the character.
Exactly.
So that's when it complicates a little bit some things. It's similar to how you trigger the effect for Lilo, like the Lilo Escape Artist as well, right?
You still gotta pay for
the
it.
cost.
So I do struggle with this one as well, and I think it's just trying to understand which kind of deck it fits into, because you still have to pay for it. I almost, like, when we first saw this, my immediate thought was like, maybe it goes into an aggro deck. You're losing your characters. Aggro decks generally don't have a way to get characters back, or they often don't have that much card draw. So this is a way to kind of get back your Daisy Ducks and be able to replay them. But at the same time, in an aggro deck, you really don't want to be taking off a whole turn to play an item like this. So that to me is kind of like a limiting factor. The colors you would often want to to use in an aggro deck. Maybe Amber or Amethyst doesn't have a way to play
an item for free. Yeah.
Because it's uninkable. You want to be able to find it, which means you probably want to have a few copies, but you can't really afford those in those decks.
Would that never work in a Steel Song deck? I know Steel Song is not relevant anymore, but that sort of profile.
I just think like
more mid-range.
Yeah, like the equivalent, I suppose, would be something like the Emerald Chromacon, which like you take off a turn, right? You pay 3 ink, it's an inkable, but it has such a huge impact on the board today because now when you're challenged, you can get tempo back by returning your opponent's cards to their hand. This doesn't give you tempo. It's something that really can't be used without 4 ink, like the turn you played. You either have to play it on 3 and then wait till turn 4, or you play it with 4 ink and then maybe get value out of it. But I don't know. I'm really not convinced about this. And I know on the game design main stage, the designer said they're really excited about this item, but they also admitted that it maybe isn't going to be this set that
it's not right
pops
now,
up.
right?
So
yeah.
I mean, I think this is C tier, to be honest.
C tier. Oh my god. Okay, let's do it.
Which is sad, but I can't see it otherwise. Next up, we have Mowgli Mancub in his debut in Lorcana, a 2-cost inkable, 1/2 questing up for 1, with the ability Have a Better Luck. When you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of their choice. So when we first saw this, we said, oh, it's like bare necessities, but actually it's going to be your opponent who chooses which non-character card to discard. So that's kind of where it has that kind of downside a little bit, but still it does give you information about your opponent's hand. It's something that can be played early on cheaply, but it can also be played later on when you're expecting a big turn from your opponent. We don't have a be prepared type thing in the game anymore, but trying to get rid of their board wipes, trying to get rid of those actions. It can be played around, which I think is an interesting thing about the card. Like if your opponent knows you're going to drop a Mowgli on them, they can just hold another action to stop that effect. But
that's also a kind of a negative side for the opponent, right? Having to be conscious about that and aware of the decision. So I think that's the benefit of Mowgli. And of course, we're setting our news video how cool it is that they put that effect in Mowgli, because it makes a lot of sense, right? I'm a big fan of this card, but I also don't know how. I don't think it's. You don't. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's mid A tier.
I was about to say I don't think it's B. I think you can play more than just specific decks.
Yeah.
But it's finding the space for it.
Yeah. I think it'll see play in Amber decks, especially the ones that can't combine with Sapphire to use something like Ludwig von Drake. Then I think Mowgli is a fine card. He's inkable. He gives you information. Yeah. He potentially removes your opponent's answers to your board. So I do think he's a pretty good card, despite the slight downside. Next up, we have Simba, King in the Making, 7-cost inkable, 5/5 questing for 3. He is a Whisper, so you can boost him for 3, and has the ability Timely Alliance. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character card, you may play that character for free and the interplay exerted. Otherwise, put it on the bottom of your deck. So very interesting card. It's similar to Mufasa Betrayed Leader in the fact that you're playing a character from the top of your deck for free. I think really the thing that kind of reduces the value a bit of Simba is the cost. So he is a 7-cost character, unless you're playing him for free somehow, which means if you want to play him and make use of his effect, you need 10 ink, which is a lot, or you need to use some of Amber's cost reduction abilities like lanterns and things like that. So
not only that, actually, if I may, again, finding out when we were playing the single player decks, right, there were so many card supports that allows you to boost a character without having to pay the cost, right? Yeah. Obviously, depends on the card you're getting, depends if you have that in your deck. But I was surprised with how many different ways you had, instead of just paying fully the cost of 3.
Yeah, but a lot of those, at least from the single player decks, it's like you play an item and then you put it under for free. So you're still a cost associated with it.
You're wasting one turn.
There are characters who, when they quest, they can put it under. So if you set up, like, I think it's Scrooge McDuck, and then you play Simba afterwards, you can then immediately trigger the effect. But still, it's
the requirement of having to have the card.
You have to set it. You have to build around it. I think. But if you do have him out and you do manage to boost him once or twice, it can be huge amounts of tempo, right? If you're playing another big character. For me, I think probably he pairs best with Sapphire, just to let you get to that 7 ink a lot faster. You'll have more ink in those situations, and you can kind of essentially accelerate your ink into this really high top end, and you can have more expensive characters. So I think that's probably where he goes.
So it's a very specific. You're
I
saying
think
very
he's
specific
very
profile.
niche, but I also think he has potential.
Do you think he's better than Rapunzel?
I think he's probably better than Rapunzel. Just like in terms, like I don't know if he's more playable than Rapunzel. I think Rapunzel you can put in any deck. She might not be great, but you can put her in those decks. Simba you've got to build around, but I think he can have more impact on the game than Rapunzel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So let's stick him down there. We're going to move things around as we go.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Goofy, Glumping, Gumshoe, and 8, costing couple 5/7, questing for 3. He's Floodborn, so you can shift him on at 5, and has Hot Pursuit when you play this character and whenever he quests. Each opposing character gets -1 until the start of their next turn. So
on playability and on quest ability,
which is really nice.
Yeah.
So we know anything that you get the value as soon as you play them. It's great, and because he is a Floodborn, if you're able to shift him and then quest with him, then you're getting the effect twice already in a single turn. I think with things like Under the Sea in the metagame and like strength-based removal, like a card we're going to see in Ruby, but also the likes of Baby Sisu, we know these kind of strength reduction abilities can be quite good. That being said, he is expensive and he does require you to have like another Goofy on the board really to make the most use out of his ability, because I think you want to be shifting him. You don't want to be paying 8 ink in most cases.
We did see the other Umber Goofy, right? I don't remember exactly the ability right now, but I think it's also related to strength reduction.
It is, yeah.
So of course there is the shift target if that makes sense for your deck, and he's quest for quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
You're questing to get that ability, you're getting the 3 lore, and it's also for every single opposing character, which is super cool.
And until the start of your next turn.
Until the start of your next turn. So it's huge in that sense, but I think he's A.
You think he's A?
You don't think he's A?
I would probably put him like higher B tier.
Okay, yeah.
I just don't think he
it's because of the shift target, right? It's not having a consistent target.
And I think maybe he's a little bit slow. I don't know. I think it's just what do you want to be doing on turn 5, right? Or so that's kind of the limit.
I wish he was bodyguard as well.
Yeah, so just something else. Give him support and then put him in a deck with
bodyguard.
So we'll go on to Amethyst, and we're going to start off with Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan. 6 costing couple, 5/6 questing for 2. She has 2 abilities. The first one is Ad Saxium Commutate.
Commutate.
When you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Then each player with fewer than 3 cards in their hand draws until they have 3. And Stone by Day, if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. So a really, really interesting one. And I think she does 2 things that we know is really important in the game. She allows you to break stalemates by exerting characters. We know Elsa the Fifth Spirit is incredible in the game because of that. And she also draws you cards potentially if you've emptied your hands out. So because of that, I'm already like, okay, this card is a lot more interesting. I think in terms of stats, like reasonable stats. And it's an unplayability, which is the important thing.
I think there's more to that as well, right? When we start, we have to say, right, there's another item that got recently revealed that also gives Demona even more benefits. Obviously, there's the requirement of having the item, but even without the item, the card is quite strong already as it is.
Yeah.
And if you're playing with her, I'm guessing you're playing with the different tools for that, right? Maybe if you're playing at Amethyst Steel deck and you have Goliath as well to play around that, right? So there's ways to handle this turn by day ability, which can be punishing if you don't know how to play in the correct way.
Yeah, it is definitely that downside, because in most cases you're going to want to get yourself to 2 cards by the end of your turn. Demona almost guarantees that you're at those 3 cards unless you have a way to get rid of one of those cards somehow. So you do have to kind of wait for that setup if you want her to ready, that is. Because the item Matheus is talking about is it gives her rush. And also when an opposing character is exerted on your turn, you gain a law. So
for every opposing character.
So those 2 things combined together, if your opponent has 5 characters they're not exerting because you're playing Amethyst Steel and they don't want you to challenge them, then you can play that. Now, Demona gets rush, you gain 5 law, she can come in and hit something, and you potentially draw cards. So obviously you can't always guarantee you're going to have those 2 pieces, but as the 6 cost, you're going to be able to build up to it over time.
No, I think another point of that as well is if you have to split that in 2 turns and you put the item first, your opponent will expect Demona to come. So that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
You almost have to play both at the same turn. I don't remember if the item has to be exerted as well.
I don't think so.
But
no,
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
You can exert item the same turn.
But I don't know if it's a bad thing, because if your opponent knows demona's coming, what, like, they can choose to exert their characters,
Then
but
you can
that
just
but
challenge
that's
them.
also a good thing. And I think, like, for me, Amethyst Steel feels like the most natural pairing because you want to be challenging with things like Calhoun.
Yeah.
But I also think she could work in Ruby Amethyst. Again, it's another color where you want to be challenging characters, and we do have a lot of effects that gain more when you challenge. And I also think it can work in Blurple. So
there's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go straight to the point. She's the toppest one. I think she's the best card of the set.
I think so. I think
there's
just based on the fact it's affecting the board state, like, it is a bomb.
Yeah.
It is as soon as you play it, there's an impact. It is card draw as well.
Yeah.
And combined with the item, I think she can really pop off.
Is she as good as Dumbo, in your opinion, in terms of impact? I know that that's not the point of this.
I think not.
Yeah.
I think Dumbo is still better, because if you set up the board and, you know, your opponent doesn't remove the Dumbo, it just snowballs. Like, we saw this at the set championships. We played that this weekend. Like, any game where Dumbo survives more than a couple of turns, you just get so much value. Kind of like Diablo used to give you value.
Because her is on play. That's it.
But it is like, it is a bomb that is
as soon as you drop.
Yeah.
And we see with Elsa, right? It does work.
Yeah. So I do like Demona. I think
too.
she's a pretty good.
That's
card
why she's
set.
the cover of this thumbnail.
Yeah. The other legendary for Amethyst is Hades Looking for Deal. 5 cost thinkable, 3/4 questing for 1. With the ability, what do you say? When you play this character, you may choose an opposing character. If you do, draw 2 cards unless that character's player puts that card on the bottom of their deck. So another quite interesting one. So I think it's cool that the onus is put on your opponent a little bit, so they can kind of react to the board state. But it also means that you need to kind of set Hades up and play him at the right time. Like, if your opponent is, you know, or you're struggling for cards, you need to get rid of your opponent's thing, and you don't mind whether, you know, your opponent decides to give you cards rather than banishing the character. That's great. You could also do it if you know you want the cards, right? You can pick something you know they're not going to banish.
Exactly. I think is the fact that there's always a benefit for the player playing that.
Yeah.
It feels so fresh.
Yeah.
And it is cool. And then, as Charlie said, it comes down to the opponent to decide, but you're always going to be winning.
You're always getting an
Yeah.
advantage. Like, it's card advantage one way or another, whether it's removing a character or whether it's netting new cards. But I do think it's one of those cards that you can, like, as I said, you have to set it up in the right way in order to get the full advantage out of it.
At least it's on play.
It is on play, yeah.
So that's good.
And it is just one and done. Once that like is done, then you basically have the stats of a 3-cost vanilla. So he's not great once he's on the board, but certainly he does have an impact once he's played. So I'd be tempted A tier. I don't think he goes in every Amethyst deck, just because I think, like, Ruby Amethyst, you've got more efficient removal, I would argue. Sapphire, maybe you've got more efficient removal. So maybe...
But we're talking about drawing cards. We're not just talking about the removal.
Yeah, but there's a lot of...
For me, he's an S.
You think he's...
But I think he's an S. But we can keep an A. I think your expertise is better than mine.
I don't know. I mean, you're right. It is card draw. Any card that says draw a card.
It is card draw and removal. You have 2 things in your hand, right? Do we have any big float-born Hades? Not relevant ones, right? Or any at all, do we?
There was the Amber Floodborn Hades, but you're not playing.
I'm just trying to think if there's any way, but to get another value out of it.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's good.
He is a deity, so we did see the Sword of Hercules.
Well, yeah, but at that point as well, right? You already got your benefit.
No, I mean, Sword of Hercules gives deities challenger, right? So
I see.
If you combine those, maybe.
But you can also can't you banish with the Sword of
Hercules. Yeah. I think once he's played,
but it doesn't matter at that point.
Once he's played, you don't really care about him.
Let's leave him a low S until we see the other cards.
Okay. Next up, we have the Horned King, Wicked Ruler, 4-cost thinkable, 3/4 questing for 2. Floodborn, shifts for 2, and has the ability to rise. Whenever one of your other characters is banished in a challenge, you may return that card to your hand, then choose and discard a card. So, another interesting one, like, it's not an on-play ability per se, but you can play him on a turn where you're setting up to challenge and then start getting the value out of him. We've seen effects like this. Like, if I had to judge it by previous characters that had this effect, there's things like the Fairy Godmother, but she had to quest. There was the Dr. Facilia, but he was a 7-cost and inkable, also a Floodborn. So being able to play him on essentially turn 2, if you play a 1-cost Horned King, is pretty good. He's not that expensive. He's got better stats than Hades.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
I don't know if he's going to see that much play, but I do think his ability is actually quite good. Maybe in a deck with something like Demona, where your opponent, again, is just not exerting things. You exert the characters, you have the Horn King in play, you do some trades, and then you get your characters back. Maybe. But
because you're still, the benefit is you're still gonna have to discard something, right? So you have to have a hand where it makes sense to use it and to then discard something else to keep that new character, right?
And if you're running like gargoyles and you need to keep your hand size down, maybe,
so it doesn't help. I suppose it's still a May ability.
Yeah.
But would you run that if you're not planning to use the ability? That's the question.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm looking at how we've been grading, right? Or rating. Is he lower than Goofy, for example? I feel like Goofy, there's more user cases. Why would you use?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. It's also what you take out of an Amethyst deck, because they have so many good cards. So yeah, let's put him there. Next up, we have Magicka Dispel, Cunning Sorceress, 7 cost, uninkable 7/7 questing for 1. Also Floodborn, shifting at 7 though, and has Shadow's Grasp. When you play this character, if you shift to play her, you may draw 4 cards.
So that is the card that when we first saw, we are like, oh my god, that's
4
insane.
cards on her body.
Oh my god, 7/7. But then we're like, oh, actually, you have to shift at the same cost that you play her.
Yeah.
So it's really just to say, not only you have to pay the 7 costs, you also have to have played another Magicka Dispel, which there is. There's a couple shift targets for this set that are not that bad either, but not enough to justify a 7 uninkable, I think.
Yeah, because I did say, like, we judge a card, the goodness of a card, whether it draws you other cards or not.
But if you can't draw.
But I think a 7 cost uninkable is such a liability in most decks, and I think there are other more efficient ways to draw cards that don't require the setup, because if your opponent knows you're going to be trying to drop a Magicka Dispel, they're just going to banish the shift target in most cases. I mean, we don't have as much removal, it's not as easy, but it's something that if your opponent deals with your Magicka, which might not even be a card you want to play, you just need to play her to shift Magicka, then you're kind of scuppered.
It's a funny one, right? Because I feel like if this card was exactly as it is, but you didn't have to shift her to get the effect.
Oh, obscene, yeah.
We'll already it'll be great, right?
Obscene, because then you get a 7 cost character and 4 cards.
I know, yeah.
Which,
maybe that's it. Maybe that's why it's not. But it's just, I don't know.
I mean, maybe people will run like a 1 of or a 2 of. I don't know. But
would they run because they have to run the shift target as well? That's the hard part, right? Is having the 2 pieces together.
If there was Morph still in the metagame, I would say she's like a lot better because your opponent maybe wouldn't expect her. Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like she's probably in this C tier, sadly.
Okay,
I think she's just a lot too difficult to set up. So next up, we have Cheshire Cat, Inexplicable, 3 cost inkable, 3/4 questing for 1. Whisper, so can boost for 2. With the ability, it's loads of fun. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may move up to 2 damage counters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. With the lack of efficient removal in the game, we've seen that these damage moving abilities, particularly Bell, have been really, really important in the metagame. We do have more characters with resist, and it's a good way to get around resist. But it's a question of whether you want to set up this character and then be spending the ink every turn or whenever you want to be able to move those 2 damage. I think you probably want something that's doing it on play that doesn't cost, like a Bell, like Panic.
But he's the same cost as a Bell. Of course, a Bell is better, right? Because Bell is turn 5, isn't it?
Bell's turn 5, but
the difference is she quests for 2. She is
a 4/4, and she moves 3 damage. Yeah. So I do think there is a place for moving damage. We did see actually at the DLC there was a Ruby Amethyst deck all about moving damage, the Flinger Dingers. So maybe he would fit there. There is still the coil, right? The Amethyst coil, which is every time you ink, you can move 1 damage, never sees play. And that's free. That's just the cost of inking. So I don't know. I'd be tempted to put him like low B tier. Yeah. I don't think he's completely unplayable, but I don't think he's okay.
I don't think people will use him, I'll be honest.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Sadly, but
I feel like he's more of a C, but
yeah.
But let's leave a B. We can always move after.
Next up, we have Shere Khan, Fearsome Tiger. This is the first legendary for Emerald. 6 cost and inkable, 5/4 questing for 2. He's evasive and has the ability on the hunt. Whenever this character quests, banish chosen opposing damaged character. Then you may put 1 damage counter on another chosen character. So Another razor you can judge cards by is, do they make an immediate impact to the board state? Shere Khan doesn't really. As a 6-cost inkable, that could be too much of a liability really to have him see much play. If he sticks to the board and if you're able to make use of his ability, then I think actually could be quite good. You know, you can use a mosquito bite, put a damage on a character, banish, and then it's nice that it's kind of like an engine. Once you get him going, then he can just keep banishing turn after turn after turn. But
oh yeah, that's true, because you're applying the other damage, and the next turn you can do it again. Yeah.
So I do think that's interesting, but we like also looking at other cards. There was the Emerald Cheshire Cat, the super rare that had a similar ability. He had to exert in order to banish the character, but had comparable stats. Didn't really see play, and
he was Floodborn.
He was a Floodborn, so you could surprise your opponent. There's also Diana, who when you play her, you can banish a chosen damage character, which is a similar effect. And even as a 3-cost, who has I think it's pay 2 to use her ability, doesn't really see play. So I think maybe in this metagame, just because we have something like Malicious, Mean, and Scary, but I think it's the fact that he has to quest, and you have to have the damage, that it is kind of the thing that makes him less good.
It's so tricky. I'm like, I keep looking back at Rapunzel, right? Which effect is more relevant between those two legendaries? You think Shere Khan just because of Malicious, Mean, and Scary, and we know people are excited about that?
No, I think Rapunzel's probably better.
I think Rapunzel is better.
Just because, again, I think Rapunzel fits into a lot of decks. She might not be a good card in those decks, but you can put her there, whereas Shere Khan,
is very specific.
You're really locked to a certain archetype.
By the end of this video, Rapunzel will go to tier A. She's going to going to the left.
I'm going to eat my words if she turns out to be playable. Next up, we have Webby Vanderquack, Junior Prospector, 4-cost inkable, 2 4-cost inker 2. She is a Floodborn. She'll shift in at 2, which is quite nice. Has Ward, also quite nice, and has the ability Work Smarter. Whenever this character quests, if an opponent has more cards in their Inkwell than you, you may put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exert it. So when they've talked about Emerald in the past, they've said it's an ink color that's all about kind of coming from behind, like getting an advantage when your opponent has the advantage. And Webby is definitely in that.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Especially with Ward.
Yeah. I think it is quite an interesting ability because exactly. Because she has Ward, it means she's sticking to the board in most cases. It's like there aren't that many ways to get around Ward. Obviously, we have things like demona now coming into the metagame, which is going to exert everything. But the fact you can shift her, quest immediately, and then use the ability, I think is really good. One of the things that's worth saying is there is a 1-cost Webby, and it's actually a pretty good ability. It's when you play her, you can give a character +1 strength, which is something we know Emerald really wants to be doing, especially in decks like the Lady and the Tramp Dogs deck. It can also be relevant just to help you trade down some of your opponent's characters. So because of that, because there's a good shift target, because it's a low cost, it's cheap, it's easy to set up, and because she's inkable, I do think this is actually probably one of the better cards in the set. I think the only like negative I would say is it's not really affecting the board state too much. Like it's giving you ink advantage, which is good. Like it's one of the things you want in the game, but it's also something your opponent could potentially play around. But then if they're playing around it, they're not inking, which is also an advantage to you. But it's worth saying that she is a 4-cost, so that means she can sing certain songs. We do have a new removal song in Steel, which deals 4 damage. So if you pair this with maybe Emerald Steel, then you can use her as a singer as well, just because of the ward. And sometimes you just need a ward character to close out the game.
She does go under the sea, though.
She does go under the sea. That's very true.
So you can still do that to her, unfortunately.
So she won't be able to dodge under the sea. But maybe if you're running Emerald, you're probably running the Hustlers anyway. You remove under the sea, and then you're good. So I do like her. I'm tempted to put her up in the S tier.
S tier? Oh, wow.
Do you not agree?
I don't know. You're convincing me now.
I talked a lot. Go on. What's your thoughts?
I thought she was high A, but I'll be happy to have her on the S tier.
I don't think she. Yeah, it's hard, right? Because she doesn't have the immediate impact that
which deck she fits really.
I think
because she can't fit with aggro. She's not an aggro. She's not a someone playing Emerald as aggro.
No,
because you don't care about the Inkwell at that point.
Yeah. I think she could fit into Emerald Sapphire. So a deck that wants to be kind of ramping, and this is a a way of doing that without sacrificing some of your hand. So that could be one deck that she fits into. Emerald Steel, again, she can help you gain the ink whilst also singing. And then outside of that, I mean, maybe that's the thing, right? There aren't that many strong Emerald decks right now. So maybe that's what kind of keeps her from being like, she's not the card that's going to make Emerald the best color in the game. In the same way that I feel like the Amethyst legendaries are really bumping up the power of Amethyst. So okay, maybe because of that, she's gonna go A tier.
We'll see later on. Oh, I love this card.
Yeah, Matthias loves this card. So this is Scrooge McDuck, Shush Agent, 2 cost uninkable, 0/2 questing for 2. Has 2 abilities. The first one is Backup Plan. When you play this character, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. And on the move, when this character is challenged, return this card to your hand.
And no damage is dealt in that challenge. That's very important.
That is very important.
Very important, yeah.
Which basically means Scrooge is Bobby. Zimaruski, that's a card that is being seen play in pretty much every Emerald deck at the moment. So it is an effect that is quite critical. A lot of the Emerald decks use that as a way of filtering out the cards that are bad, kind of breaking your hand if you have a lot of uninkables, and just a way of filtering through your deck to find the answers you need. And then the second ability is actually pretty good. So he is like an aggro threat, a card that you want to be just kind of probably turning sideways in most cases. And then if your opponent has to challenge him, then you're going to get him back to your hand to then replay, to then reactivate his effect. So we know aggro decks struggle with card draw, with maintaining characters in hand. So he does have a function there of giving you an extra card. And the filtering ability is actually pretty good, I would say.
It's like an infinite filter, pretty much, right? So how can you ever take him from the game away as an opponent?
Well, just with removal, right?
So you cannot, as long as you're not challenging, he won't return to your hand. That's it. So you can remove.
You can fire the cannons. You can use Ruby removal, but even so, like, do I care? Like, I've already gotten the use out of his ability. If my opponent's spending a turn,
no, that's what I'm saying. It's very positive. I feel like overall this card is positive altogether. I think he's an A. Yeah,
I think if he will
fit in a lot of decks. I think
he has to be uninkable. Like, obviously by the design space. If he wasn't, he would be better.
Yeah.
But I think he's actually quite good. So.
Cool. I almost feel like he's more essential than Webby even.
I think Webby will be in more decks.
Okay, so that's my that's fair.
So Little John next is an impertinent outlaw, 6 cost uninkable, 4/5 questing for 3. He is a Whisper. You can boost him for 3. And has the ability Ready to Wrestle. Whenever you put a card under this character, ready him. A very interesting.
There's a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is an infinite combo," but it's really important to know with the boost that it's only once per turn that you're allowed to boost using his ability. Of course, you can use other characters' abilities, items, actions to do the boost as well, to re-ready him. But it is kind of like a combo piece. You do need to set it up, and of course, it's only one, like, you can only quest the turn after he's played, right? You can't surprise your opponent and then start questing. Like, your opponent's going to see him on the board and know they need to respond to him. But in the worst case, you play him, he survives a turn, you don't have anything else to boost him, you can quest, boost, and quest again, which is 6 law.
A lot.
Which is a lot, but he can also be used to challenge, can be used to sing. So it's quite versatile in that sense.
For me is the fact that he is a 6 cost uninkable. It's quite late game.
That requires
for
setup.
Emerald.
Yeah.
Requires setup, right? And then you have to pay the additional 3 most likely.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
I think he's interesting, but I do think he's probably low B tier.
Do you think he's under those ones? Oh wow, interesting. No, he has to be above. Well, I suppose moving damage is more common than.
It has more impact on the board state, right? So that's
so weird.
Yeah. Next up, we have Potion of Malice, 3 cost uninkable item. It has 2 abilities. The first is Suppressed Anger. Exert pay 1, put 1 damage counter on chosen character. And Mindless Rage. Exert, banish this item. Each opposing damage character gains Reckless until the start of your next turn. I don't see this one in all honesty. Like, again, it's 3 cost uninkable item, so you're losing tempo to play it. I think there are other better ways to give your opponent Reckless. Like, Reckless is actually quite a good way to deal with opposing boards in the metagame as it is with the power level of removal. So we have seen Reckless kind of becoming kind of useful, but I think you would rather probably play a character that gives reckless or an action. I think like an item puts one damage counter just isn't that great.
I'm trying to remember, do we have other items in Emerald that puts damage? Like as simple as that.
I think
we have, right?
I don't remember. Well, there's the mosquito bite, which is the one cost action.
There's a one-off, yeah.
Yeah, and I think in general, actions just tend to do a little bit better at those things than items. So
because you could literally use 3 mosquito bites and do the same effect without the additional cost.
Yeah,
in a way, but of course, who does that?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think this is.
We say that, but in the set championship this weekend, I was getting bitten by mosquito the whole time, and it was hard.
The pirate aggro.
It was cool actually, but I agree. I don't see play for this. So at least not right now.
I'm gonna put it down here behind Magicka for now. Next up, we have Hercules, Mighty Leader.
So we're going to Ruby?
To Ruby, yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yes,
Focused and Inkable 5/3, questing for 2. He has 2 abilities. The first one is Ever Vigilant. This character can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged. And Ever Valiant, sorry, my brain broke there. Whilst this character is exerted, your other hero characters can't be dealt damage unless they're being challenged. I'm really not sure about this one because it's another card, doesn't have an immediate impact on the board. You do need him to be in and exerted. Maybe if you can rush him in, then you could do that. But even so, his ability is only when he's challenged. So if you rush him in and take damage, then you're already kind of, I know, putting yourself close to being banished, and then
well, he has just to be exerted, right? He doesn't need to challenge.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're rushing, right? If you want to get the effect straight away,
and using the 5 strength, right? Especially because the tricky part is he exerts, right? All your other characters are protected from direct damage. From songs and so on. But why wouldn't they just go for him at that point, right? He's just 3 willpower.
Because he's also he can't be challenged, right?
No, he can be challenged. This card can't be dealt damage unless he's being challenged.
Yeah.
So someone can just challenge him.
This character can't be dealt damage. Oh, sorry.
Unless he's being challenged. So he just cannot be dealt damage by songs.
Okay.
The way to take him down is by challenging him, and he has such a weak willpower.
Yeah, I see.
Right?
I see. Yeah.
So I feel like if you do get the effect eventually, which is already not on play, the Ever Valiant ability.
Yeah.
It's super easy to take him down.
If
your opponent has characters that they will trade most likely because he has 5 willpower, right? And the fact that he's also an inkable.
Yeah.
We do have the Sword of Hercules.
We do.
That ties quite well, but still.
But maybe you gotta like set up a bodyguard and then put him behind the bodyguard, and then your opponent has to challenge the bodyguard. But
it doesn't work. Right?
And he can be removed with like hard removal, like if you you play something like Along Came Zeus, right? That would finish him off. It could also be
but he can't.
Oh my god! Sorry, my brain. Why doesn't this? My brain doesn't.
It's the way that it's written. So songs won't damage him.
Yeah, it's
he can only be damaged by challenge, by fist.
But actually, the song I was thinking of was "Be King Undisputed." So like any of those like Ruby removal, Dragonfire would get rid of him.
Yeah.
So it's a really weird one. So I don't know. I feel like B tier. I think he's less playable than Rapunzel in all honesty.
100%. I think.
Less than Shere Khan?
I don't know.
I think he maybe sits in between these two.
But I'm really disappointed because again we're expecting a good Ruby legendary and we're struggling.
I think the other one is
the Headless Horseman.
A bit better. So the Headless Horseman, Terror of Sleepy Hollow, 5 cost uninkable, 4/2 questing for 2. He has 2 abilities, Leaves No Trace. When you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 2 strength or less, and Gathering Strength during your turn. Whenever an opposing character is banished, each of your characters gain +1 this turn. So it is a non-player ability. As soon as you play him, you can banish something. I think the 3 biggest cards I would say in the metagame at the moment are the Genie, Elsa, and Tiana. All 3 of those would be banished by him, and those are cards you really want to get off the board quite rapidly. Madame Medusa could banish 3 strength or less characters. People didn't think she would see play, and she saw lots of play. But the Headless Horseman is a little bit harder. I think there were fewer characters with the 2 strength. I think 3 was a really good point to kind of draw Medusa's ability. But it can obviously be combined with Amber to reduce the strength, like the Goofy card we saw. You can combine it with Sapphire, which is probably what you'll combine it with, in order to reduce the strength through those effects. But I also could see it being run in just a regular Ruby deck, like Brawl it's essentially brawl on a body,
Yeah.
and brawl was an action that his decks had to run. And I think maybe the fact that it is brawl on a body, and also the second ability, right? We haven't even talked
But
about
that's
that.
it. I don't think we can overlook the
Yeah.
second ability, to be fair, because it can stack.
It can.
So it's every time he gets banished, and it doesn't mean a challenge either.
Yeah.
You will use one of your removal tools, including himself, right? As soon as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
banish all of your... Is he all of your characters? Yeah,
Yeah,
each of your characters. So as soon as you play him, you're likely targeting someone, and you're getting that +1 for everyone else. And then let's say that someone else can challenge again, it gets another +1.
Yeah.
So if you have a healthy board, you'll be able to be stacking. Yeah.
So I think he's going to see play in a surprising amount of Ruby decks because of the lack of anything better to remove characters.
He's a brawl, right?
He is, but I also don't think he's going to be like hugely impactful to the meta game. So I would say top of the A tier probably.
Yeah.
I think he is like, again, it just affects
We're just
the
talking
board
about the
state.
presence, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that Ruby decks are lacking.
Sorry. Oh god. Oh,
Why
god.
you use the mouse?
There we go.
Keyboard. Is the fact that the Ruby decks are lacking removal, right?
desperate,
So we are
yeah.
waiting for removals. But it's interesting because I haven't seen online people reacting that positively for him. Maybe because they wanted something better as well.
I was having a look at the deck list people are brewing for the next set, and a lot of them are running him.
Yeah, okay, no,
Yes.
that's cool then. I'm talking solely on looking at people discussing on Facebook.
It's
Discord,
just and it's just testing right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are gonna refine these cards over many weeks of iteration. But yeah, I
Plus, it's a cool card, right? Maybe people will run him just because it's him.
you want to run 4 of the enchanteds as long as they don't get taken away from you in a DLC. Next up is David Zanato's charismatic leader, 6 cost inkable, 5/5 questing for 2. 2 abilities: learn from everything during your turn. Whenever one of your characters is banished, draw a card. And what are you waiting for? Whenever this character quests, chosen character gains rush this turn. Interesting one, card draw for Ruby. When this was revealed, I was like, okay, cool, Ruby's getting some card draw. And then there was a much better Ruby card draw, which is the one where you draw cards equal to a character's law or something like that.
No, that's Amethyst.
That's Amethyst. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. It must be the banish character of yours to gain 2 cards.
Maybe.
And then
So you think this one lost some value?
I think it lost a little bit of value because that's like a really efficient item, a really efficient action that can help you draw cards, whereas this is maybe a little bit less efficient, and it means you almost need to have your opponent exerting characters to make use of it. But it is nice that as soon as he's played, the ability's kind of there waiting.
You could think as well, look, this is me just thinking, and it's a lot of steps, right, really. But if you have him there and he quests, you already have him on the board, and then you play the horseman, the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
He'll give the rush to the Headless Horseman. You can already go with the Headless Horseman. You will, in the process, banish a target.
Yeah.
Get that additional +1. And with him, you could banish another target. You draw 2 cards.
You draw 1 card.
During turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, draw a card. Your character is banished.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was every time you banish an opponent.
No, yeah. It's very much like the Sumerian talisman effect, and that was, I mean, that's an item.
In a body,
This is on a body, which is better, but it's always one of those tricky things, right? Because you're losing a character. Ideally, your opponent's losing a character as well, and you're drawing a card. So in terms of card advantage, it is positive for you. But
no, but you're right. I was thinking more every time you banish. I was like, that's quite good.
That would have been nicer, yeah. But I mean, I don't think he's awful. I mean, I want to probably say a high B tier.
Okay.
I don't want to have to move the cards around because it's clunky, but let's do it. Let's put him up.
We'll fix at the end of the video. We'll do the magic of edition, post production, and we can organize everything.
Absolutely, yeah. So next up we have Hans Brazen Manipulator, 6 cost inkable, 6/4 questing for 2. 2 abilities as well. The first one is Jostling for Power. King and Queen characters can't quest. And Growing Influence at the start of your turn. If an opponent has 2 or more ready characters in play, gain 2 lore. An interesting one. The first ability is kind of dependent on how the metagame evolves. I mean, obviously we do have lots of King and Queen characters because it's Disney, and you know every now and again you will see those in games, right? I'm trying to think like off the top of my head of which kings and queens see play, but for sure there are those out there.
Well, we have a queen. Elsa is a queen, right?
Yeah. True. So yeah, there are definitely those cards floating around there. So potentially he is going to be like a good disruption for them. If we see like a royalty deck, then again, a really good way to deal with those, but it's very metagame dependent. And then the second ability, it's one of those things your opponent can play around, but if they're playing around it, then it's also maybe good for you, because I was when we saw this card, I was saying to Mateos, like, it's kind of good at stopping aggro decks, because aggro decks will look to be playing like multiple characters a turn, in which case, if when it returns to you they've played at least two, then you're going to gain the 2 law because your opponent has played those 2 characters. If your opponent doesn't want to give you the law and decides they're going to play just 1 character, then they're only playing 1 character, so there's kind of an advantage there. But
it's important to say that it doesn't stack either. It's just you can only get 2 if that effect triggers.
But I think for Hans, the biggest thing is just which deck does he fit into? Like, it's not always going to be advancing your win condition. Like against a Blurple deck. I'm trying to think, like a lot of control decks are only playing 1 card at a time anyway.
No,
maybe they're playing kings and queens, but
I just like that so much. Remember when I said I got the same feeling as when we saw Fling Rider, one of the variations of Fling Rider. But I think you're right. It's so specific, it's so late game as well, right? I mean 6 cost, not late game, but 6 cost.
Yeah.
I think it's a C.
You think he's C?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna put him low B, but I'm also happy to put him.
I think he's C, unfortunately.
He's better than the Cauldron.
I'm not sure, but
the next one is Lady Tremaine. I feel like we might talk about this one
quite a lot,
because I'm really on the fence. She's a sinister socialite, 5 cost and inkable, 5/4 questing for 2. She's a boost. You can boost her for 2.
She's a whisper.
Whisper, yeah, sorry. She's a whisper. You can boost her for 2. And has the ability Expedient Schemes. Expedient. I don't know how it is in English or American English. Whenever this character quests, if you put a card under her this turn, you may play an action card with cost 5 or less from your discard for free. Then put the action card on the bottom of your deck instead of into your discard. So a way to recur your removal or other actions from your discard in order to get a benefit. So the closest comparison we have in the metagame is Max Goof Chart Topper. When you quest with him, so he's a 6 cost Floodborn. I think he shifts in for 4. But when you quest with him, you can do the same thing, but it has to be a 4 cost and it has to be a song. But he's inkable and you can make use of his effect right away. Versus Lady Tremaine, who you can only make use of her effect the next turn, in which case your opponent may have answered her. You need something in your discard to be able to trigger it. So I'm not sure.
I think my instant positive reaction when we first saw the card is I misread it, right?
Yeah.
I read as if once you use the effect, the card goes back to your discard. So I thought you have the opportunity to keep doing that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. It goes in the bottom of your deck. So it's harder for you to get access to that again. I don't know. She's an inkable, so yeah, you're probably right. It will probably be hard to justify her. Such a lot. I just love this card so much. I love the concept of the card so much.
I love the concept as well, and I think probably over time, as we get more good 5 cost actions, it's going to be better. Because like right now, the only thing that Max can't really interact with is maybe Dragonfire, because it's a 5 cost action and not a song. And I think maybe you would rather run Max. Obviously, if you're not running Emerald, then Lady Tremaine is the kind of the fallback.
Is there any synergy between her and the Shark?
Yes, yeah. I mean, you're playing actions, right? So you're going to gain law. So there's definitely something there. I think it's just the fact she has to survive.
Yeah.
She has to survive.
You have to boost.
You have to boost.
You have to have a card in this card.
Yeah. And then because she's questing, she's going to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then your opponent could potentially challenge her. So I don't know. And we're talking about removal. I mean, of course, you could do this with something like Finders Keepers. Imagine playing Finders Keepers, drawing 3, questing with her, and then doing it for free, and you're drawing 6 cards. Like that could like be huge. But I do struggle. I feel like she's probably high B tier just because she's got the potential. I'm sure someone's gonna make her work. But
and do you think she's higher than Goofy?
Let's put her in the Goofy, I think, because at least Goofy's on play, right? So we do like that. So okay, so we're gonna go over to Sapphire next, and this is Daisy Duck, Paranormal Investigator. 6 cost inkable, 4/6 questing for 2. She's Floodborn, can shift in at 4. She has support, okay, she can work with Rapunzel, and has the ability Strange Happenings whilst this character is exerted. cards enter opponent's ink while exerted. So this one, I got a lot of people talking when she was revealed. I think is an interesting one because, well, in Amber, you can play her on curve. You can play Daisy Duck turn 1. You can play your ramp on turn 2, your Tipo, your Still the Azurite Sea. And then on turn 3 now, you can already shift her. So then you've got a 4-6 questing for 2 on turn 3. That also means your opponent's kind of playing one step behind because now when they're playing their ink, it's entering exerted. So on the turn where they would normally be able to play a 4-cost character, if they ink, they're only able to play a 3-cost character. So in that sense, because it's essentially handicapping your opponent for as soon as it returns to their turn, it is an unplayability. The fact she has support means now, you know, if you do play Tipo on 2, you play her on 3 quest with her, and then give support to Tipo, and then Tipo's hitting for 5.
And then you have the effect as well of the Inkwell for the players.
Yeah. But that's assuming you pair it with Amber. We know Amber Sapphire isn't a good, particularly good in combination in the metagame.
We did see some cool Daisy joining this game in Sapphire as well. So there is the shifted targets.
But I think that's a little bit slow, right? I think 3s or something like that. So like if you really want to do the magical fantasy land of like one Daisy Tipo Daisy, it has to be in Amber. If you pair with another color, then still, you know, even if you're not playing her exactly on curve, if you're able to play her on like turn 5, maybe turn 6, still has that impact on your opponent's next turn, which I think is nice. The only downside, of course, is that if your opponent challenges her and then inks afterwards, if they're able to banish her before they ink, then of course the effect is no longer active. But early game, that's not going to be likely. As the game goes on, she kind of maybe loses some value as it progresses. But yeah, it's an interesting one. If your opponent doesn't have anything on the board to remove her, then, or doesn't have any actions to remove her, then she could probably be quite a nuisance. What are your thoughts?
I have no idea. I actually have no idea. I would like to say that she's A, but I don't know.
I think she might be low A tier. I know like a lot of people were really hyped about it, but it's just it's when you talk about it, it's harder to justify.
But that's the thing. Yeah. It is tricky.
So another card that's actually been quite polarizing. There was a really long thread about this on Facebook recently. Is Cinderella the Dumbo of this set? Let's talk about it.
That's the question. Is she the Dumbo of the set?
Yeah. So this is Cinderella Dreams Come True. 4-cost and inkable 2/3 questing for 1, and has the ability whatever you wish for. At the end of your turn, if you played a princess character this turn, you may put a card from your hand into your inkwell face down to draw a card.
Including herself.
So she is a princess, so she will trigger for herself. So
on play.
Yeah. So the turn you play her, you're going to already be getting that extra ink and that card draw. Essentially still the Azurite Sea on her body, which is quite nice. In order to get the most advantage out of it, you want to be running like some more princess characters, which is possible. There are plenty of princess characters in the game that see play. But is she as impactful as Dumbo? I think card advantage is nice. It is card advantage. But I don't think it's as impactful as a Dumbo was on the metagame.
So you do have to, the card you ink from your hand can be inkable and uninkable as well, right?
Yeah, it's the same.
So that's the other advantage as well, right? But I can't comment. It's Sapphire. I don't know how it works.
It is
it sounds good. It sounds really good on paper, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they tested and it doesn't work right now. Yeah,
because I guess like ideally you want to be doing like a 1-cost character, ramp on 2, Tipo or Sail, Cinderella on 3, and then turn 4 now you can play a 6-cost character, which is, you know, pretty big. So really we saw that in before rotation. How far I'll go was that kind of where you jump from turn 4 to turn 6, or from 4 ink to 6 ink, and Cinderella is that kind of on a body. So
and you're drawing the card as well. And sorry to cut you, but also princesses, right? We have so many characters that are princesses, so you will be able to keep triggering, I think, if you really try. Yeah,
and you can even do crazy things, right? You can play Cinderella on one turn and then another Cinderella, and then they're both going to trigger.
Yeah.
Which is like pretty big.
True.
I think, personally, she's A.
For sure.
I think she is better than Webby, just because I think Sapphire decks, there are more of them in the metagame at the moment. And I do think getting from 4 to 6 ink is quite a big deal. So we'll see. We'll see.
It's crazy that we think that the horseman is stronger than her.
I think
it's more for the luck, right? As a Ruby player, you
that's
use
it,
him because that's what you have. Yeah.
So Scar eerily prepared is next 5 cost an inkable 6/5 questing for 2, a whisper, so can boost it 2, and has the ability survival of the fittest. Whenever you put a card under this character, chosen opposing character gets -5 strength this turn. So the perfect card to combine with something like the headless horseman, because now you can even get rid of a Maui shark, right? Which is huge, but it is a combo piece. Yeah, I think like his stats are actually not bad. Like a 6/5 for 2 on 5 isn't bad, and then you can basically just pay 2 and put a card into him in order to get something that can be pretty huge. I think definitely is going to be combining mostly with Ruby. Could be combined with Emerald as well, maybe to allow you to return something to your opponent's hand or to do it under the sea. So yeah, he is an interesting one. I don't think he's unplayable at all. I think he actually has a pretty decent ability. You disagree?
Well, no, I think everything you said makes sense, but I don't know why. I have a feeling no one's gonna use this card.
Yeah.
Do you think people will change something in their Sapphire deck to put him?
I don't know. You're right. I think there were probably more efficient ways of doing it.
Because it's an inkable as well. You have to pay the additional 2 cost. And then when you do, you have that effect once for one character. Is it even worth it at that point?
Yeah, maybe you would prefer just like a Sapphire coil and combine that with...
I don't know. Again, I don't know how Sapphire works.
I don't know.
I think it's B.
High B tier, should we say. Oh,
it hurts missing in there.
I know.
No, I don't think it's there. I don't think it's in front of Goofy.
You think he's behind Goofy?
I think so. Goofy is easier to play. Although you have to have the shift target, right, for Goofy.
Okay, I don't know. The B tier is what it is. They're all B tier. Next up, we have Judy Hopps uncovering clues, 4 cost inkable, 3/3 questing for 1, and has the ability thorough investigation. When you play this character and whenever she quests, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal a detective character card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So card draw if you want to run a detective tribal deck. The detective cards are quite interesting.
No, as soon as I read in Sapphire, when it starts like when you play this card, whenever she quests, look at the top 3 cards, I stop reading. Because I feel like it's going to be exactly the same in a different card. But of course, this is focused on detective at least. But it's just, it bores me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it is on play, which is a positive. She does do it when she quests. Stats are bad, right? 3/3 questing for 1 is now the equivalent of a 2 cost vanilla. But... You know, if detectives really pop off this set, I think maybe there's a chance for her. But
and they're quite powerful,
yeah, but I do think probably C tier just because of the lack of support. But she is better again than the cold.
Come on, really?
Yeah, because she can do something when you play her. You play her for 4, you might draw a card. Like that's a pretty good deal. It helps you filter your deck a bit.
Share my frustrations in the comment section below.
I don't know. Again, it's like C tier. They're all C tier.
It's hard.
Next up is Fairy Godmother's 1, the 2 cost inkable item, and has the ability only till midnight during your turn. Whenever you put a card into your inkwell, chosen princess character of yours gains ward until the start of your next turn.
So of course that really works with Cinderella.
Yeah. So if we do see Sapphire items becoming a thing, then this is a reasonably good Sapphire item that protects your Cinderella. You can just keep her upright, and then turn after turn after turn after turn, just keep doing this. By triggering with another princess. So I do think that's interesting. I do think this helps princess decks a lot, actually. It is a bit of a loss of tempo. You have to play this. You're not playing characters, but then, ideally you're going to be, protecting the princesses you do have.
Do we have any Jasmines in Sapphire nowadays?
Oh, yes.
Which one? Is it the damage one?
The Sapphire Steel one that requests for allies, so that could be a really good one. There's the
is it the status strategist, right?
Yeah. There's the Steel one that allows you that gains evasive on your turn, so you can protect her.
Because that's what I'm thinking. I can see even for those profiles, right? Not necessarily just with Cinderella.
Anna has the princess classification, right?
Yes, that's right.
Works with Moana, who is maybe a character you'd want to protect in a princess deck. But I do think it's niche. It's not. It's certainly not going in every Sapphire deck. So I think, like, based on our criteria alone, that puts it C.
C?
Well, it's not. It's not shaking up the meta game, but it is better than I think the rest in the C tier. No, do you agree? Do you not agree?
I don't know. I just thought I thought that she's a good card, but she is more for a specific type of deck, and that's B, right?
Ah, okay.
If I'm not mistaken,
so,
right?
Okay, so it goes low B tier then.
And then C is more like it's not a great card.
Yeah,
it's interesting,
that's
but there's
true,
nothing.
That's true, yeah. So next up, we're going to go over to Steel, starting off with Goliath, Clan Leader, 6 cost Inkable, 6/5 questing for 2. Has 2 abilities. The first one is Dusk to Dawn. At the end of each player's turn, if they have more than 2 cards in their hand, they choose and discard cards until they have 2. If they have fewer than 2 cards in their hand, they draw until they have 2. And Stone by Day, if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this character can't ready. So the same downside as the other Gargoyle characters.
So that's pretty much a way with Demona to guarantee that you have the exact amount you need in your hand, so you're not frozen or stunned by day, right? Of course, it's at the end of each player's turn, so you could play this in a way to force your opponent to have the same amount as you do if they are in an advantage. So that's the advantage here for yourself as a player.
Yeah. It's a nice counter to Amethyst decks because they're drawing a lot, and this kind of punishes it in the same way something like Beyond the Horizon does, but on a body. And
so it fits for the Steel profile. That's what it says. As a Steel player, you are locking, so that's a way for you to...
Yeah, I think a lot of the way the Steel identity works, and we've seen it with Doc, right? Like it's all about kind of emptying out your hand, playing something to then give you back some cards, and then you can continue to play. I think the downside, obviously, of Goliath is if your opponent is top decking, then if you play him, they're getting a kind of a bit of an advantage, because not only do they draw the 2 cards, no, I suppose at the end of the turn, right? So it's not like they can use the cards right away, but even so, it's an interesting one. I think what maybe is a way to play this is with Emerald in a discard deck. So you play your Goliath, your opponent on their turn finishes it with 2 cards, and then it comes back to you, and maybe you're able to discard 1 or 2 of those. It's a really interesting one, because I know it's another card people are trying out, and they haven't found exactly how to make it work or where to make it work. But I think there is a place for it. I can see it in Amethyst Steel. I can see it in Sapphire Steel.
But for me, he's the hardest one. For me, with my small knowledge of the meta, he's the one I struggle the most. Just seeing work. I mean, as a difficulty of knowing when to use as well, right? When you're playing.
It's a very difficult card to play.
Like how do I use this in a way that I don't regret myself after paying all the cost, right?
I think one of the things we can't neglect, though, is that it is something that facilitates all the other gargoyles. So a lot of the gargoyles in Amethyst or Ruby, if you pair it with either of those, have like very, very good stats with the Stone by Day downside. So if you're able to play Goliath, if it's not advantageous to your opponent to draw, then it does facilitate those.
Because I think that's it. I think a way to phrase this as well for someone more like me is he's there. If you really want to play the whole gargoyle scenario, the downside for you as a player is that at the end of the day you have to have a little amount of cards, and then you are in a disadvantage automatically because your opponent has so many cards, or they could have so many cards. So Goliath comes in to say, okay, I authorize you to play this archetype of gargoyles, and if you do play this archetype of gargoyles, your payoff is you have very powerful characters with low ink. So you have those very early, plus Demona. Which does everything else and closes the game with her book, right? So it's almost like creating that profile. That works, I think.
I'm tempted. I'm tempted to put him in the A tier just because I think he has potential. I think maybe he's gonna be low A tier though, just because like we both said, I think I can't see which deck he fits into right now. So maybe you're building a deck around him, and I think could be really powerful.
I agree.
But yeah, okay. And so the next legendary for Steel is Prince Charming, Protector of the Realms, 7 cost Inkable, 3/10 questing for 2. He's a bodyguard and has the ability Protective Presence. Each turn, only 1 character can challenge. So a very, very, very interesting ability. The first time we're seeing anything like this. And it's going to be interesting to hear exactly with the rules how this works, because this does apply to both you and your opponent. So potentially on your turn, if you want to do some challenging, you've got to do it first and then play the prince afterwards. But I think as a 3/10, can be very difficult to remove. Certainly without hard removal in Ruby or Emerald, maybe bouncing him back to your hand, he is just going to sit there. Steel's going to have a very hard time getting rid of him, and especially decks that are relying on challenging. So maybe, you know, if Ruby Steel becomes like a real menace in the metagame, it doesn't play that many actions, then maybe Prince Charming will be a natural counter to that. But yeah, it's hard. It's the fact that it's a 7 cost and inkable, because
he's inkable.
A 7 cost just in general. Because I feel like maybe he'd be good in an aggro deck, but he's too expensive.
You're never gonna have that amount of ink to use an aggro, right?
Maybe if you're playing like an amber deck, you're like pairing him with amber, and you've got your lanterns and things like that, where you're reducing the cost, then you can get him out a bit sooner.
Does people even run lanterns
No,
nowadays?
no,
I don't think so.
I
never seen the lantern.
I'm just trying to think, if you wanted to get him into the deck, how would you do it? Maybe in Sapphire, where you can get there a lot faster. Because I think he has potential, especially considering how inefficient removal is at the moment. You can return him to your opponent's hand with a few things. Here's the thing, right? If the Headless Horseman sees play, and we see a lot of Sapphire decks that give him, you know, -1 strength, the Headless Horseman comes in and just pops him straight away. I think is definitely something we can expect, and because of that, I think that reduces his value.
I think he's C. I don't think it's B.
Yeah,
I know where your heads are at. I don't think it's B.
Yeah, I don't.
I almost feel like it's that conversation when we see a new Mickey that sounds like crazy on paper, and no one's make it work, and then they do for one tournament, and then they go away again.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he's B, so I'll stick with C.
Okay.
Another interesting one, the Headless Horseman, Cursed Rider, it cost inkable. Sorry. I just assume they're all these high cost ones are uninkable. No, this is inkable. 5/7, questing for 2, Floodbond, shifting at 5, with the ability Witching Hour. When you play this character, each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. Choose an opposing character and deal 2 damage to them for each action card discarded this way. So again, in fantasy land, you play this, each player discards 3 action cards, and you're dealing 12 damage, but that's never going to happen. I don't even know what the odds of that happening would be. It is variance. It's like complete randomness. It might do 2 damage. It might do 0 damage. It might do 4 damage. But it also means potentially, you know, if you're getting rid of actions, then it can be quite bad for you, right? Because you probably want those actions. And you also probably want to play actions in your deck in order to be able to try and get damage off him.
I think it's the random element of discarding your hand for things that you don't even want to discard. Right? You have no choice. Obviously, you might use that only when you don't have much in your hand, and then you just rely on your opponent. But for such a high cost, I suppose you can shift a 5.
You can shift him. There is a horseman at
it's just impossible to make it work, I feel.
I know. It's just like a very cool card.
Amazing
I like
ability.
the concept. Love the art.
Beautiful.
But you don't run this card. Like, when do you play this card? I just don't see it. I'm hesitant to say it's worse than some of these.
I thought you were saying the Cloudron. I was like, finally, you're giving the Cloudron more space.
I'm not putting any respect on the Cloudron.
Oh my god, my heart.
Next up, we have Fairy Godmother, Magical Benefactor. I'm going to have to squint to read this. 4 cost uninkable, 3/5 questing for 1. She is a Whisper, so you can boost her for 3, and has the ability Stunning Transformation. Whenever you put a card under this character, you may banish chosen opposing character. If you do, their player may reveal the top card of the deck. If that card is a character or item card, they may play it for free. Otherwise, they put it on the bottom of their deck. And I think the first reaction Matthias and I both had to this was like, why is this a steel card and not an amber card or an amethyst card? It feels a lot more.
You mean Ruby card?
Yeah, maybe a Ruby. I think it fits more the identity of any of those 3 inks.
But still,
yeah, because steel, it's like when it's removing things, it's not direct banishing, it's damage. And I feel like amber has this kind of effect maybe with Daisy, like flipping something off the top. Amethyst has this kind of like do something to your card, otherwise something else happens. And Ruby has like targeted removal, and for some reason this ended up in steel. I think it's an interesting card. So if your opponent has something you just need to answer, they have like I don't know, a 4, the Little John, you have no other way to get it off the board. You know, next turn they're going to quest for 6 and win the game. You can play the Fairy Godmother. and hope for the best. Hope that they don't turn something over that quest for 6, which in most cases they won't. So maybe in that case she's good, right? Like as a like late game, just I have to answer this thing. I don't have any other better removal, and just hope for the best. That
I think she's just a fun card. She's a fun card that'll probably be fun in a team deck, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm so excited to play this just to see what happens.
It's the same as looking at Merlin Cottage, all those things that you don't usually play, but it's so fun. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, I was saying like you, because I was forgetting it's not non-playability. You do need to boost her. So if you want to remove that thing, you either need to just hold her until you have 7 ink and then do it all in one turn. Yeah. You need to put her on the board, in which case your opponent could expect it.
And it's 7 at that point, right?
Yeah. So I
think she's C.
I think she's C as well, which is a shame.
I do like her.
Yeah.
I think she's better than the Horseman, though.
Yeah, okay.
To be fair.
Yeah, a little bit of randomness better than the Horseman.
So next one is a location card, and it's on the other way. So I'll try my best here. So it's a 3-cost Inkable, Illuminary Tunnels, Linked Caverns. Is a cost one ink to move in, 6 willpower, and a passive generated lore of 1. It has 2 abilities. The first one is Subterranean Network. While you have a character here, this location gets +1 lore for each other location you have in play. And the second one is Locus?
Locus, yeah, I think so.
Locus. While you have a character here, you may pay 1 less ink to play a location.
Okay, so
if you have a character there, you pay 1 less for the next location you play. And while you have a character here, this location gets +1 for each other location you have in play. So the idea is having more and more locations, keep boosting this one to have more passive lore as it goes. But you first of all need the character inside.
Yeah. So the first thing to say, I suppose, is that locations, a lot of the good locations rotated out of the game with Fabled. A lot of the cheap locations rotated out, and they did add a few more this set. There are some decent ones, some cheap ones as well. So I think there is a world, maybe in 2-3 sets, once some locations come back to the game, this could be better. Because I mean, I played for a while a location aggro deck in Amber Steel, and it was, I don't know, I want to say like almost 12 1-cost locations. And I mean, if you set this up, you put a character there, which is cheap, then now my 1-cost locations cost 0, and I can just spam the board. And now I have a bunch of things on my board that is really difficult for my opponent to interact with because of the high willpower. And then that's also buffing up this location. So there is some really nice synergy there. I think actually probably one of the better locations. Obviously it does have quite a low willpower, but it is something your opponent just has to answer. And it's something you can, you know, if you set it up in the right way, on turn 4 you play this, you move a character there, and then you play more locations, so you're immediately getting the advantage.
I think it's the requirement of having to have more locations in the meta where we haven't seen locations. So there's a dependency now to get any effect on this card. I need to run a deck with more locations.
But to me, this is the perfect B tier card because it's a card that I think is good. It's just niche.
Yeah, and we do have 2 more locations for especially in Steel, only in Steel. We got 2 other locations as well for Whispers in the Wild, so maybe it's Utopia and the Castle Wyvern. So I don't know. I don't remember the effect of the other 2. Where do you think it goes? You're thinking B?
I think it goes low B.
Really? Interesting.
Oh, it's hidden. It's hidden by Shere Khan. There we go. It's gonna just peek out.
So you think it's better than the Prince John?
I think that's
Little John.
True.
Sorry,
I do think
Little John is more effective.
Yeah. So there we go. But I do actually think it's a decent one when locations are able to come back.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's our picks. We're gonna do the magic of editing and tidy it up, and then we'll have a quick roundup.
See you in a bit.
So we're back. That's the tier list. I think, if I'm honest, I think Whispers in the Well is one of the most interesting sets. Like, they've not necessarily introduced like a bunch of new mechanics. Obviously we have the big one with boost, but there's a lot of new abilities in there we haven't seen. Things like the Prince, like Hercules, that it's really unknown territory whether these things are gonna do well. And I think after such a huge drop in power with Fabled, it's interesting to see them kind of rebuilding and kind of forming the identities of the Ink. And I would say probably this is the set where we've had the fewest in the C tier. Like, normally the C tier is just full of cards.
I'm surprised with so many in A tier as well, I'll be honest. Obviously we're lacking an S, and we could be wrong. We could be very wrong. But that is still which is funny, seeing 2 Amethyst, not funny, ironic, seeing 2 Amethysts on top on S again after the success of Dumbo, right? But fair enough. What is interesting, just going back to what you said, is I do love the gameplay effects. I am very excited about the gameplay effects, and I'm actually very excited when we compare to the last time we did this, which was Reign of Jafar.
Yeah.
We had so many cards that we will read and we'll be like, this effect is just boring,
Yeah.
right? These ones, even if we don't know how they can be used or how successful they'll be, they are very creative effects.
Yeah,
and I think they're going to bring a lot of potential to the game, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was Reign of Jafar in particular and Arcasia's Island. It was the dual ink, right? And they kind of chose to use those as like very specifically. This dual link does this very specific thing, and then it's like, okay, now we have 3 cards that just deal with puppies, so it has to be a C. So I love dual link. I hope they move away from them being as restricted as they are. I think they will. I think they've probably learned from that, and hopefully we see more of a distribution like this, because I think, you know, you don't want all the cards to be too powerful. You want some cards to kind of spike in power. I think they've done a really good job with the legendaries this set. Like, this is probably and this is probably the first time we've got 7 legendaries in the top 2 tiers. I mean, of course, this is just our opinion. We might be wrong, but I think that's actually a pretty good showing, and only 2 in the C tier. So
that is true.
Yeah, because normally you there's like one good, there's a Dumbo, and then there's everything else.
The rest is all bad. Yeah, that's that's in our opinion, right? They all fell very flat last times, and then with Fable they were starting to get better, and now amazing. So hoping for the best. So please do leave your comment down below. If you're angry at our opinion, you can tell us in a very polite way, please. But you can tell us we don't know. We are literally playing a game here and guessing those things, right, as it goes. And I think especially with a meta changing so much, it's hard to tell at this stage. But I'm very excited to find out more. And with the DLCs coming, people will prove more and more how to use those cards. Yeah,
because definitely, like, the most fun part about this video is getting your opinions. Like,
for sure.
And like I said at the top of the video, I love someone coming in the comments and saying, no, the Headless Horseman is amazing because of this, and this. I'm like, you know what? I didn't think about that. You're right. He is S tier. So please let us know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And convince us why we.
Why do you think the Black Cauldron should not be on C? Simply because it's the Black Cauldron itself, and also Rapunzel. I think those two.
Yeah, I want everyone. I want all of these cards to work. Believe me, I would love a world where every single card is powerful. I just think not all cards are created equal. Sadly.
For sure.
So yeah, thanks so much for following us through with this video. I know it's quite a long one, but there are a lot of really fun, exciting cards to discuss. And I mean, as always, the thing that's got us most excited is just being able to build some theme decks. Like, I'm telling you, I'm building the Gargoyle deck. That's the deck I'm playing when we do that gameplay, Matheus. There's no 2 ways about it. So I'm very excited.
I think I want something around the Fairy Godmother. I want to try
the Fairy
Godmother.
Okay. So very excited for that. Very excited for the meta possibilities, and just can't wait to see what the good players cook up with all of these cards, because there's so much potential. And if you did enjoy this video, you enjoyed spending time with us as we do this exercise, please do be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, because we're going to have so much more content coming your way, all for the release of Whispers in the Well. And of course, a huge shout out to our YouTube members as well. Thank you so much for all of the support. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member, you can hit the join button just down below and find out all of the details. And until next time,
happy questing.
Happy questing.